some career guidance services, maybe only 20% or something. So I think that a strategy that we jointly developed with a team of experts in 2007, and Snezhka mentioned, I think that that's the most important goal of the strategy, like to have more young people be in a position to accept advice and some, I don't know, expert support, education. And beside online mechanisms, we do a lot of educations of young people, of people in local youth offices, of teachers, and we are really making a good progress. So, so not to take too many time, if anybody's particularly interested in some of these projects, we can talk during networking moments. Thank you. Okay.
She's doing very interesting things. Because she said that she's doing concrete kind of. Who's
that? My name is Stefan Greitzer. I'm from Slovakia Euro Guidance Center. I'd like to have two comments. The first one is to what was mentioned by Tony Watts just at the beginning of his presentation. He mentioned career quake. And I think this is something crucial we should have in mind. And I want to mention that Helmut was talking about a paradigm shift in career education. There was another shift in careers, that careers are changing. In relation to this, I would like to mention that few days ago I have heard one prognostication to say that in 2050 there will be no occupations as we know them now. There will be just sets of competencies, skills, and knowledge that people are able to present and to have. And borders between occupations will be very thin, if ever. And the idea is how this is reflected in our educational systems. And another point, or point which I would like to mention, is that we should start with training of teachers, because they are key persons who might help people to be able to face these new challenges in a changed labor market. And one note in addition to this: thousands of young people are entering universities with the idea to become teachers now. They will be teachers in 4 or 5 years from now. They will start to teach young people 5 or 10 years from now. Are we prepared for this at this moment in 2011? And my second point, and Marisa inspired me, it's a shame, but I'm trying to teach university students in career counseling, and I know nothing about this, listening to people like Tony and Raimo or Helmut. But Marisa inspired me that the traditional definition of career guidance, as I use it, for example, for my students, that this is a 3-level process or a system provision of information, guidance as the second level, and counseling, usually face-to-face, as the third one. The whole system, I think, should have one more dimension, and this is assisting people to acquire and update their career management skills. This is not information, not guidance, not counseling. This is something fourth, which should be enriched the whole system. So thank you for this.
Thank you for your great comments. Maybe Tony first and then Visser.
Just a quick reaction Stefan was saying, because we're really repeating our conversation, which was a very interesting conversation. And Stefan's point that actually occupations are clusters of competencies. That's what they are. And qualification frameworks, which many countries are developing now, and the European qualification framework is designed to encourage all European countries to do this, are in a way trying to build a way of looking at this in terms of competencies, qualifications being clusters of competencies which are much more transferable and more flexible. So this is going on in all sorts of ways across the world, including many European countries. So the change you're saying is already underway, I think. And the boundaries between occupations, that wonderful slide you showed at the beginning of all these new terms, these new occupations which come out all the time, are about reclustering these collections of competencies in far more flexible ways. The irony, which in a way Stefan's further point emphasizes, is that to some extent teaching is lagging, school teaching is lagging behind the rest of the world in this respect. And indeed, many teachers, they go to school, students, they go to university and they go back and teach. They always remain within education, which to some extent, instead of leading these trends, in some ways lags behind it. And the issue, and in many ways, people have argued, and I think strongly and persuasively, that if we had more teachers going in and out of teaching, we would have far better schools. So if more people went and taught for a while and then did something else, or did something else and then went into teaching, which of course some teachers do, but if we had more people doing that, we would actually have better schools, better teaching, more in contact with the real world, more fulfilling lives. But many teachers get burnt out. After a while, they burn out. They've had too much. They're doing the same thing again and again, and they become more out of touch with young people, and they get worse as teachers, not better. So I mean, I'm not saying this is always true. Some teachers keep the flame alive throughout their lives, and they're wonderful teachers, of course. So I'm just making a generalization. But I mentioned to Stefan, in the UK, we've had a scheme called Teaching First, and it's been very, very successful. And the basis of it is that we have some very difficult schools in our cities. We want the best graduates, the most energetic, creative graduates to come and teach. And the deal is they come for 2 years. We want them to really invest and all their energies. They will learn so much because by working with these difficult children, they learn all sorts of transferable skills and competencies which they can use in all sorts of other occupations. But also they're giving something back to their communities. So that's the argument. But we've had many young people who've come into teaching on that basis. I don't want to be a teacher all my life, but I want to do it. But I want to do it because I'm going to use that experience to do as a launch pad for doing other things, which in a way epitomizes all those things that I've been trying to say. It's about saying we want to encourage that transfer and that flexibility and to harness it. And it's not a threat, it's an opportunity.
We have to train the trainers of teachers.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, these are fundamental changes in our school systems. Our school systems are struggling and lagging behind all the changes in technology and globalization and so on. And that's true in all our countries, actually. So it's getting into that set of issues. And if we do, all the things we're talking about here will happen just like that. Everyone will see the need, but we have conservative education systems which resist the real world and resist change. And it's a huge, huge problem. So I think the things we're talking about here are really important in relation to that much wider set of issues.
It's just a short comment. I perfectly agree with you. And the very simple solution to open the education systems to the practitioners, but it again depends on the people in the education system. Because they say all the time, okay, education that is oriented and closely related to the practice, it's very important for the students. but they don't open to practitioners because they say that we don't have academic background. A lot of practitioners have the desire to share their knowledge with the students, to try to experiment with different methods. But when we are not allowed to enter the system, it's a problem. Here you go.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Visar Ademi. I'm coming from Macedonia. Together with my colleague here, Lidia Damczewska, we are representing My Career. My Career is a program that works with youth primarily in helping them improving their employability skills, in finding better employment opportunities. We started this program in 2009 with great help from Gergana. And I want to say that beside trainings, we have a portal, like I heard from many countries, and try to shift the traditional way of trainings and recruitment into more modern ways by introducing key career fair forums and online portfolios of career guidance there, so the companies can save money and time by not attending all career fairs in the universities, but come on our online system and chat with students and then of course informing them about the employment opportunities online. We have so far around 12,000 students in our database. We have around 300 companies. We have accomplished for 2 years around 2,000 and something internships, which led to more than 500 employment opportunities. This is the program. Technically, me and Lydia are working for USAID. We have 2 masks, but also we are running My Career as an NGO, and we are trying now to create a sustainability concept by providing services for on a fee basis, so we can continue to work after the USAID life cycle or the life of the duration of the donor. But I want to make 2 comments using our experience in Macedonia. First, one has to do with the curriculum revision that was mentioned in the first part by all the key speakers. You mentioned one equation of the workforce development. I mean, you mentioned the role of teacher, you mentioned the role of the career counseling, you mentioned the role of the student itself, but no one mentioned, or at least it was mentioned very provisionally, the role of the companies. You cannot have a career counseling inside the classroom and be a big fuss if you don't bring the companies inside the university. In 2004, believe me, we started actually with Indiana University. I was working back then for that project for Indiana University in one private university in Macedonia, and with a good actually support from the rector, we started as an obligatory course for 3rd year and 4th year students, career development courses. 90% in the first year showed up in our classes. But after a couple of years, the percentage of the people, it was decreasing. It was not because of the quality of the courses, because they didn't found an additional value for our courses. I mean, then what we said was, let's introduce some companies. We invited speakers from the industry. We organized career fairs. We organized, forums of companies so they can recruit on campus. So then the courses become more kind of live and become more attractive for students. Because at the end of the day, they want to find all this career counseling so they can be placed in the company, find better job. But you cannot always focus on the supply side if you don't bring the companies. And that comfort zone that Lachezar is speaking will be diminished or destroyed if there is pressure from the companies to change, or at least to find skills that they need, future skills of the 21st century, because now we are shifting paradigm from the production to the service economy. And second thing is, has to do with the crisis. I mean, with our program now, with My Career, we started in 2009, exactly when the economic crisis hit USA. And we said, oh my God, we are starting a program and we are destined to fail from the very beginning. Amazingly, all companies supported us, and not because they wanted us or because we were the smartest one. It has to do with the economic crisis. They were, when we approached in 2009, they didn't want our service. They said, we have money, we want to recruit people, to employ them. In 2000, at the end of 2009, beginning of 2010, all these companies that rejected us initially, they called us back, saying, bring us those students because we want to employ them for interns. For one job that they created at the beginning, they wanted to hire 3 students. And our numbers boosted very much so because they shifted the business model from employing to recruiting interns. Of course, the cost of recruitment was lower, and the cost of kind of testing the people who is right person for a job was better for them because they had the opportunity to test these people. So that's why how we created 2,000 students, and then at the end of the day, many of these companies said, I like this person, I would like to employ him. And then they offered them employment opportunities, which were monitored by us as well. So this is the thing. I mean, in economic crisis, if you are dealing with career counseling, think about internships, because internships are a great thing to achieve a final outcome by going to a longer path, but more kind of secure or more integrated for the, I like the thing actually from testing to tasting, because they are in part of the academic environment. They are always going through a test of knowledge, but they can taste, they can actually, by working as a clerks, as, I don't know, sellers, as managers in company, and then can test their skills and learn and send back the knowledge in the universities and say to their mentors that, look, I also had my practical knowledge and I want you to revise the curricula according to my practical knowledge. These are 2 things that we learned in Macedonia in a hard way. It was not very expensive because USAID paid, but after 2012, we cannot experiment a lot. We need to find services that companies can pay right away. Thank you.
More comments, Elena and Krasi?
Just one. Just one.
2 ladies over there. You have a
Yes.
comment.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
A very quick, thank you for saying something about the business and the employers. It's very important. I'm very happy that today we have representatives of our Chamber of Commerce, and actually they're running a huge project, which it's not directly linked to career education, but actually it's much linked to this topic because it's dedicated on the so-called identification of competence needed for the future and needed here in Bulgaria in the future professions, and it is targeted only on business, and it's a kind of generating feedback on how to identify the competencies for the future jobs needed for the Bulgarian labor market and Bulgarian economy. And this is very important when you all know this, when we speak about some career skills, about some career information, always try to keep this link with the business, which is the challenge.
And now a real employer.
I think I'm the only real employer representing the demand side of the labor market. Just to build something on what Victor just said, there is a tendency, at least in Bulgaria, that all the educational institutions or NGOs and everybody who is dealing with students just wait for the business to come. The business has one purpose, to earn money and to make money. This is all. Okay, we give money for certain things, but please try not to wait for the business. Try to be more proactive towards the business and try to provoke business to pay money. We are in universities, we are at career fairs, we are paying for competence surveys, whatever. We know what the future needs from us. We also want to invest, but on some clever things, on some clever measures. And whenever we go to universities, what do you offer? I'm not offering anything but future jobs to your students if your students are really ready for these jobs. So it's a long way that all the parties should go together. And the point is that we should invest, and as Marisa said, on 7 years old, on 14 years old, to start from the very, very beginning and to do sustainable things, because we were commenting here that we started a lot of things in Bulgaria. We started a portal called Какви да станем? What shall I become? Or something like this. It worked for a few years, it stopped. Then we started another thing, it worked for a few years, it stopped. Nothing lasted, let's say, 20 years, so actually no sustainable result. So if possible, let's do something sustainable.
Okay, the two comments over here. Okay, the Fulya from Turkey.
Hello, Fulya from Turkey. I just wanted to make just few maybe comments. Maybe I would like to share with you after the conference through mail. I thought that might be beneficial for sharing for the practices that we find really efficient in my country. One of them is I am also an instructor of a course on career development for college students, orientation to work life. It's been like 4 semesters, which is working very properly, and I have the syllabus, which I can, share with you afterwards. And I also invite many key speakers from the companies, and as well as this is an elective course actually, and many departments take it. But of course, it's only the group of people who are attending this course get the benefits, but maybe by the use of more technology, I'm sure this can be turn out to be a better widespread project. And also, I'm one of the program consultants. It's another role. Actually, there is a foundation called Foundation of Educational Volunteers. It's a very big institution, and there is a project called Starting My Career Journey. It's basically starting from 12 to 15 years old, the target is. And it's a group program, but we train the educators, and they train the volunteers. And so they reach the kids. And it's all about voluntary basis. It's a very big system. The foundation has a very well-organized system all over Turkey. It is their success, actually. What we do is that we create the content of the curriculum, the group program, and also teach the trainers. And till today, I think it's like 15,000 kids receive this. It's a 10-week program. And we have all the reports and research, the efficiencies, and how influential it is. We have the reports available to share with you. And one final comment will be maybe about, there is a cooperative education model that my university, the university I work with, is involved with. It is all about making companies as partner companies. And the partner companies we call, in order to attract the companies, we make discounts to, if their employees want to attend MA programs or certificate programs, we say, we make you 50 discount for our program, so you're more willing to maybe accept our students as interns like that, like a negotiation. And it's working well so far. We have many companies in our list. And more of that, of course, we want to create projects. And I think, it was mentioned, in elective courses, for example, Mercedes or IBM comes for a course for like communication students or for engineering students. So it's very attractive for the students, but it was challenging because we changed the curriculum. So it was a end of a big process. So these are the 3 files that I wanted to share with you. And thank you for providing this opportunity so that I had some moments to share this with you. And we have a list of participants, so it's good that we keep this communication flow afterwards. Thank you.
The colleague from Kosovo, I think.
Thank you.
First of all, I will thank for bringing together all. This is one good possibility to extend our knowledge about career guidance. I am Sokol Ershani. I work for Ministry of Education of Kosovo. We in Kosovo, we start from 2007 with career guidance, and we develop career guidance, 10-year career guidance strategy. But what I will say now, I will be focused more in sustainability of career guidance services. I heard also from colleagues before speakers that also they are facing with these problems, and this is, I think, is one of challenge for the future, how to deal with the sustainability, how to motivate policymakers in decision making, because sometimes we are not in the level of understanding between policymakers and professionals. And policymakers sometimes they are not so much interested in career guidance or career education. We have in Kosovo developed this in three-way career services, career guidance services. First, in education, we start with schools, but always with support of EU, because we developed a curriculum for students for ninth grade, and we continue piloting with, as you heard also from Mr. Helmut Selot, that we have in the first time 34 schools. Now we increase number of schools, and we also update this curricula, which was developed by in first phase. Now we are in second phase, in which we have also not only curricula, but also portfolio for students. And now we have this year 10 new schools which are involved with new updated curricula. We have also involved in this process also employment offices, because hundreds of employment counselors which are working, dealing with career guidance with job seekers are also trained, and they are dealing with also with job seekers, supporting them to find job or to find the best solution. And we have in Kosovo also a work which is in career education, which are involved youth centers. And also youth centers using some of curricula which are developed together with education. And they are giving support to the youth about career guidance. But what is also another situation which we are facing now is that we have another NGOs and stakeholders which are dealing with career resource centers or career guidance centers, which are not in level for sustainability. They are supported by some project, but if project is ended, they are not enough covered by government. And it is important to also, I will ask also a colleague from Austria, because I was also in Austria for visiting career education in some schools of Austrian schools, but I am interested also to know how they are dealing in sustainability or covering this expenditure which are now needed to continue with career education or career guidance as tools or a different kind of support which is needed to continue quality assurance of career guidance. And because I think many times in public and private partnership, which is, I read some countries are involved, for example, UK, I read, but I will be interested if is any possibility to know how is from Austrian or from other colleagues this process covered. Thank you very much.
One or two more comments and then we'll conclude.
Good afternoon. My name is Ludmil Manev. I'm from Bulgaria. I am a project promoter of different projects for employment and career guidance of mobility projects, partnerships, and transfer of innovations. I have a small question to our panelists. In Bulgaria, I think the problem is the link between the education and the business, between the education and the employers. Can you give us some recommendations from your rich experience how to encourage this link or how to make more strong? Thank you very much.
Any comments? If not, a comment? I'm just going to cite something. I attended a conference last week where our Minister of Education was presented, and it was a university conference. Many of the rectors of Bulgarian universities were there, and he tried to explain them that attracting employers should be in a way for, like Elena said, making them to understand that this is a mutual cooperation, that they should see the benefit of investing in the education. And I was surprised because for the first time I see Bulgarian Minister of Education who's thinking for an employers as partners, not as someone who is obliged to invest in the education, who should give the money because they are producing, universities are producing the employees, the future employees. So I think it's a very long process. And it always takes time, but it was very good to hear the reactions of the universities. And one of the biggest ones made a comment there that, maybe we need to think more about marketing and how to better market our services. So things are changing, slowly but changing. So I'm thinking, I'm a very positive person and always want to take in a positive way. And this is my answer to your comment. And I know that my colleague, Harold has a comment before we conclude, and there's one more, and then we'll finish. Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours. Luchu. I think so. Coming.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to say I'm Vesna Radić from Employment Office from Montenegro, and here I am with my colleagues from Ministry of Education. First of all, I wanted to say that I'm glad that I'm again in Sofia. I was here 5 years ago on some similar occasion where I met Helmut Zeller. And then we had in Montenegro, I guess, 5 counselors for career guidance. And I guess that only those 5 people over then 5 years ago understood that we need something to do in our career guidance system. Now the things are much different, and since everybody from the region said something about what is going on in the career guidance system, well, we now find that we should say something before the break. Okay, so the things, the major things are going on in the last two years since we have started implementing IPA projects. I guess it's not that we waited for help from European Union, but we needed somebody to push us. So, but in these last 2 years, lots of things were going on. And it is a good thing to be a small country because in 2 years you can do a great job. So last year we conducted, we write down our national strategy from 2010-2014. And from next year we should start implementing that, but we think it will be no problem. Like everything in our country, we make a beautiful strategy, and then after that well. But, okay, so we opened, Employment Agency of Montenegro opened 7 SIPs. The SIPs is Center for Career Guidance. So we opened 7 SIP center in last 2 years. We opened 2 of them, and in this year we opened 5 of them. Well, that was the part of the IPA project, but nevertheless it is important because things are going on. And we had also a couple of pilot projects in last 2 years. It was funded by GTZ, 2009. We trained 45 of teachers in elementary school, and in last year and this year we trained 60 of teachers in elementary school, and this year we trained 30 teachers in high school. It is important to say that we train the teachers, not career counselors, because as we not only countries in this region, but also countries from Europe, that teachers had no knowledge or no experience in career guidance. So there are lots of other things that are going on, but since there is no time and I don't want now to take your time of break, so for this time it's that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Only one thing to the cooperation between schools and economy. This is very, very important, and we see it in Austria that this is a main thing in motivate young people to make them possible to see which possibilities they have and for what they are in school, do their studies and so on. Early work experience, internship, they are very, very important. And my wish to the schools is be active in going in cooperation with different companies. And my wish to the companies is be active in doing cooperation with schools. 10 years ago in Austria, we had the situation that it wasn't very easily for schools to get in contact with the economy or with different companies. Today, we have the situation the companies do need good persons and can't find them and want to get in contact with the schools and want intensive contact with them, but everything is not possible. And I had a discussion with one company a few weeks ago, and he told me, actually we have a war of apprentices and a war of for persons with technical background, and I hope that this situation won't come in your countries.
Tony.
Sorry, just very, very quickly, because I know the tea. But the point about the links, I think where I have seen the best links, there has been some brokerage. I think there needs to be some process to bring education and employers together, because otherwise we say employers should be active, schools should be active, but actually you need to create a kind of neutral space where they can both come together, and it's a very good area for career counsellors. I mean, it needs other resources as well. And incidentally, the issue of internships has come up. Internships is very interesting, and it's happening a lot, and it's highly political, because it can be cheap labour. It can be, we will hire these people to do a job with, and we won't pay them. And there are real issues in a number of countries about this. But if it is really tasting, and if there is a possibility being offered, then it is very, very valuable. So again, it needs some, I think there is an issue for public policy here to provide spaces for brokerage and to provide support for internships, but also to make sure that individuals are protected in relation to that. They're not being exploited.
Thank you. And I think that we can conclude now this session. Thank you all for your active participation. I think we all learned from each other. And now I'm looking forward to hear from Lachezar, the different European funding opportunities for career education, because this will help us to continue the relations that we started today and to pilot new initiatives and new ideas. Thank you all, and we'll see each other in 20 minutes, right?
We have a short coffee break, and then we'll enter the world of funding.
Good. Thank you.